Hello and welcome back to another episode of Form Check Friday, backed by popular demand. So let's get straight into the form checks, wasting no time. We're here on the Jack Calisthenics Discord, and we've got the YouTube channel member Luxy up first with some muscle ups. So what I'll say here is there's a little bit of timing that would need to be kind of fixed here, and then also the kipping. So as you can see here on this last rep, you kip a little bit. Definitely not bad. Anyone's first muscle ups are going to look like this. But what I'm going to say is when you're pulling back, and I'll play that clip again, when you're pulling back here, you see you kind of go into this L-shaped pull-up. I think you could kind of keep your arm straight a little bit longer. You could keep your arm straight a little bit longer, so arm straight, you really get that bounce from that stretch. Then you're coming back. Then when you're back here, then you start using that momentum to lift yourself up. You're kind of pulling, so you're going here, your arms are a little bit bent, and then you're pulling up early and using your legs to give you a bit more momentum. Try and keep those arms straight a little longer and use that to bounce back, and then when you're behind the bar coming up, ride that momentum upwards. And then of course over time reduce the leg swing and the kipping, because that's how I learned it. I learned it kipping and then I just reduced it over time. But you need to be strict with it. You need to make sure that you don't allow yourself to keep kipping. You need to do it intentionally. If you don't do it intentionally, you're just going to keep kipping and get more reps using kipping. So that's the main thing I'll say here. So yeah, good number of reps. Anyone's first muscle ups are going to look similar to this. The only other thing is I might widen the grip a little bit, because as you can see, as you go on top of the bar, your elbows flare out a little bit, and that's because you're really squeezing out that last rep. But if you were a little bit wider, there wouldn't be so much flaring, but that is a little bit of personal preference. So next up we have tinnis or tinnis, or I don't know how you say it, but basically they're doing a straddle planche on the high dip bars. Basically I'm going to show you the form. So this is a max attempt, so there was no real hold here, 2 to 3 second holds depending on the person. That's what counts. So I would say, of course, the hips are high. So if I join that up, of course the hips are high, you're making that kind of shape. The arms are looking straight at least. You've got a decent head position, looking not directly down, not too far in front, but 45-degree angle. I can't see your protraction, but I'm going to guess it's a max attempt, so it's going to be struggling a little bit. And then of course the legs are bent. So this happens a lot when people are just starting to learn the straddle planche. They're coming from advanced tuck planche, where of course knees are bent. They're not used to the glute engagement, the straight leg activation. It's a little bit different here, so the legs usually are going to be bent. It was bent for me as well. It's totally normal, but that's something to work on once you start progressing to straddle planche territory. So that's the form of this. After I show you this second clip, I'm going to show you how I would kind of now learn planche on dip bars, and you know, how to avoid getting into bad form when you're learning on these high dip bars, because I did learn my planche on dip bars. But now let me show you how I would go and train planche now if I was to learn it on dip bars, and how to avoid common issues when learning planche on dip bars. Okay, so I'm at my bars, and like I said, I learnt my planche on these dip bars here, so it's totally possible to learn planche on dip bars. However, it's a lot harder than doing it on low bars, because I did come into some bad form habits by learning it on dip bars, because it's a little bit trickier to get into good form as a beginner learning planche on dip bars. So let me show you what I mean. So this is what happens as you enter into straddle planche. So you come here, obviously you have to straddle the legs out, so you come here, and then you naturally pike from here. You kind of feel like a gymnast, but you naturally pike, the feet come high, and then you're in a low planche. And that's what happened to me. So basically, to counter this, you either want to go to low bars. I would much prefer learning them on these bars. This is what I use now to learn my planche. It's way better for form. So I'm gonna say for form, go for these sets of bars. But if dip bars are all you have, and they were all I had to learn planche on, there's two ways I would kind of do it. One way would be just sort of leaning into it, and first get good at your advanced tuck, because you tinnis or tinnis or however you say it, it looks like you need to spend a little bit more time working on the good form and using bands. That's gonna be better for you. Bands nowadays is just the way to do it. So I would just tuck, get good protraction, advanced tuck. Good protraction, good position. I'm not warmed up, but hopefully that was good. That's the first thing I would do. Then when you're entering straddle planche, I would try and do more of a lean. So I would kind of come back here. I'd try and get a good pelvis position. I'd try and squeeze my pelvis and push this way, and then I would try and lean into it. So like in full planche, you would just raise like that, and try and do the same in straddle. So come back here, straddle, try and squeeze your glutes,
then try and raise into it. No idea if that's good form or not, but you get what I mean. I haven't warmed up, but this is just to show you. Basically, that's one way I would do it, or I'll get some chairs. 1 second. And you want to get into a straddle lean. So the hips down, that's a big key tip for a straddle planche. When you're getting into it, hips down. And then, I mean, you can go into a downward dog to enter it, but you want to always go into that straddle lean, protract before entering the planche. And again, I'm not warmed up, so this is probably going to be bad, but just straddle planche into it. So we lean, good position, and there. Hopefully that was at least somewhat decent. Again, I've just run upstairs to show you this. So that's gonna be the best 2 ways, I think, of using the dip bars to sort of get into a decent planche position. Yeah, you can just get into some bad habits. So that's what I suggest.
Okay, we're back in the room with another form check. We've got Mol Yavaru next. I think that's how you say his name. And he's got his full planche. So the first thing I wanted to comment on was the entry. So you see he's starting from a planche lean, entering into the planche. Always how I'd kind of recommend if you want to optimize form. Obviously it depends on the person. And what I also want to say is if I draw a line between his joints here, his shoulder, hips and feet, what you can see is his hips are sort of more in line with his shoulders, and then his feet come down obviously. And if I draw a line like this, you can see it kind of clearly. What you could do is move your feet back a tiny bit, and this is just to optimize. I'd say this is personal preference as well. So you can move your feet down a tiny bit, and that will give your body space to move your hips down, and that will give you a line more like this, not a straight line, but you get what I mean, more like a proper planche lean. And then you'll just need to lean, hold that position and lift up, and you should be in perfect form. But if I play this, you know, you get into a good form anyway. So really that's just splitting hairs. Honestly, up to you if you want to do that, but it won't make the biggest difference. Just, you know, if I'm going to critique something, that's what I'll kind of pick on. But like, yeah, it's a minor thing. So you can see here, if I join up the joints, it's a, you know, like perfectly straight line. It's a decent protraction, or at least from what I can see here. Good elbow position, the good lower body engagement, good pelvis position. Did I say that? I don't know what I've said at this point. Good head position, not looking straight down, but looking a little bit ahead. I don't know if the shoulders are riding up or if that's just the camera placement, if the camera's placed more here. I think it's good, but like honestly, it's hard to say with the lighting and this angle. I'm gonna say it's good, and then good wrist flexion as well. So honestly, if I had to pick something up with the hold, maybe it's the shoulders, maybe a bit more depression, right? So yeah, I kind of feel like maybe that could be one thing. So a bit more of a squeeze in the lats, but that's if I had to be picky, and I'm not even sure. That could be the camera angle. So if I had to pick something, it could be that, but you know, give me a different camera angle and we could say for sure. Let's play it through to the end. It's a very good hold. Yeah, and that's all I've got to say. So that's a really good hold, and I think that deserves some confetti, man. So really good job on your progression, bro. I've been watching you in the Discord. Keep at it, man. So on to the next form check. Okay, next up we got KC. So this is a advanced tuck planche. Yes, advanced tuck planche. We're gonna pause it here, rewind to the entry. I always like to look at the entry that people choose to do. So he just kind of goes straight into the advanced tuck. I would say if you find it easier, just go tuck and bring the knees out, kind of how I did early in this video. Just tuck, bring the knees out. It helps you keep that upper body position because that basically doesn't change. And then you just lean slightly more and bring the legs down. That could be easier for you, but it's all personal preference with entries. So if I had to say, so if we look here, the hips are slightly low. So what you really want to work on is pushing down into that bar, gaining more torque from your shoulder, more force from the shoulder to push the hips up just in line. So a bit higher there. Decent leg position and leg engagement. Good pelvis position as well. Straight arms look locked out. Wrist position. I feel like these parallettes, I don't like the foam things, so sometimes I feel like that can mess with your grip. So yeah, I feel like you could work on the grip, but the parallettes may not be helping you. I'm gonna have more videos coming up on parallette, and yeah, that's one thing I don't like about these kind of foam grips and stuff. I feel like it can mess with your grip quite a bit. Good head position, not looking straight down, not looking far ahead, but just, you know, a nice 45-degree gaze. And what I would say is I think the shoulders are riding up a little bit. So maybe like Mol Yavaru, the last guy, maybe riding up. So I would push that down and make sure you're squeezing the lats, bringing that down away from the ears. Let's play the rest of the clip. I think that's all my comments for it. I'm just checking if your hips actually do come somewhat in line. Again, the camera angle is low, so they may be perfectly in line, they may be slightly low. Camera angle is always something to be aware of. But yeah, those are going to be my comments, and on to the next one. So now we've got Andre, and he's holding his front lever. So again, this angle is never really great for the front lever, especially with the shirt on. All I can really comment on is maybe the legs. Maybe I can see a bit of bending in the legs. So that's what I'll say, is even if your upper body is bending or like sagging, you know, you're trying to retract but you can't, make sure your legs are dead straight. Point your toes, or even duck feet if you want. But yeah, whatever you choose to do, just make sure the engagement is there in the lower legs. That's, again, I can't say for sure if they are bent, but if I had to say something from this clip, that's what it'd be, as well as the straight arms. So it seems like a little kink in the arms there. Again, just try and squeeze the tricep, push that arm out, so instead of it being bent, you're holding it straight. And you could even start working on false grip a little bit. It's good for a lot of skills, and you could use it for a front lever as well. So overall, you know, not much I can say about this, but that's what I will say. So that's it for this one. Hopefully that helps, man, and on to the next one. Okay, so we got SYM Simpson, however you say this. So he's doing a planche with the band on the feet. So with this clip, I'm gonna say, first thing, take the shoes off. I don't see a reason to planche with shoes on unless you're doing it in public or you're just that strong. But if you're learning and training, just shoes off. Especially if you're using a band and then you have shoes on, it's counterintuitive. Unless this was just a quick clip to send to the Discord and you're just like, oh, let me record this quickly and go about my day, then yeah, fair enough. But yeah, band at the legs. Again, because of your setup, you've got like a perfect setup for learning planche. Just have the band at the hip. That's what I'll say. It seems like one of your max attempts, you only hold maybe a second and a bit. Yeah, I move the band so it's around your waist. It's just going to give you more similar activation to the planche. You'll have to lean to the right degree. You can really work on your elevation because it's going to be pulling you from this center point. So that's what I'm going to say here, that it's going to be the big thing. In terms of the form, your head kind of goes out of shirt. I'm going to have to make a rule that shirts off for like most of these form checks, because it's going to allow me to see what's going on. But yeah, I would like to see your unassisted holds as well. That's kind of what I would want to see. Your wrist position looks pretty decent. I don't see the pinky coming up. And the arms are decently straight, but yeah, I'd say work with your setup more. That's the big takeaway here, is use your setup to help you more. And that's all I got to say with this one. So use your setup, put the bars so they're like this, and then set them up so it's directly, the center of the bar is directly under this pull-up bar. Hopefully that helps, man, and on to the next one. Okay, so next up we have Con, and he said working on form. So this looks like a super advanced type planche just because of this angle. It doesn't look like a 90-degree angle. It doesn't look like a 90-degree angle here. It looks sort of greater than that here. So that's why I'm saying it looks more like a super advanced type planche. So what we're going to say, we can't see the whole body. So there's going to be 2 rules for the next Form Check Friday. It's going to be shirts off. It's going to be whole body in shot. Because I can't see everything that's going on, so it's going to make me hard to kind of tell you what to improve in terms of the form. So the elbows do look locked out. I can't see the wrist position. I can see the lower body engagement, but I can't see if your legs are actually touching or not. It's hard to determine from this angle. Your hips do look decently in line with your shoulders. Yeah, they are pretty much in line for at least a couple seconds. Yeah, so overall I'm gonna say from what I can see, this is a good hold. I'm gonna give you some confetti, man, because I think this is pretty decent. Again, I can't see the protraction, I can't see the wrists, can't see the head position, so there's things I can't determine whether, you know, those need to be improved or not. But off what I'm seeing right now, decent hold. You said you're working on form and it's super advanced type planche, not easy, so keep working on it, man. And if you can send in another clip where I can see everything, that's gonna be better. So that was the first episode of the reboot of Form Check Friday. So a lot of you guys were asking, please, when's Form Check Friday coming back? Are you going to do another one? So it sounded like you guys really liked it. So I thought, let's start up again, because so many people were asking about it. And I also did a poll and a lot of you voted yes to it, or some of you didn't know. So if you don't know what Form Check Friday is, hopefully now you do know. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Was this useful? What do you think of everyone's form? Join the Discord and then give your clips in ahead of time so you're in for the next Form Check Friday. There's just a Form Check Friday channel. Links will be down below. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video, and I'll catch you guys soon.